Zenu Zenu. Good morning. Decided to do a video today on, let's see how it turns out. I've got a general concept. It'd be hard to explain without naming specific people. Of course, I haven't really refrained from naming specific people before, but I would be making, I'll give a disclaimer here. I'll be making broad assumptions based on knowledge of how Scientology works within the network of people that I was in, which may or may not apply to the other network of people that I was around. So in certain cases, such as like the Sea Org, Pack Base networks of people that I knew, the assumptions that I make are probably pretty accurate. But whenever the groups of in the networks of Scientologists in the general public, what they call the field, they may not be as accurate because there are multiple public Scientologists who never had worked for the church, so they didn't have that level of ingrained mind control. There is a degree to which they're hypnotized, and there are multiple factors that vary and will change, like income levels will change the way that a church will handle certain groups of Scientologists outside their or inside their church, outside their organization, because they're public and they can't control them like organizational particles. That's what you are when you're on staff. You're a particle, and a particle that is to be controlled. And me, I was an ethics particle all the time. Anyways, that was a little Cajun accent for you people around the country who have never heard a Cajun speak. Man, they talk like this, and they're like, "Pooh-yah, let's have a gumbo." That's how they talk. It's a very interesting French accent with kind of like a hillbilly twist to it. So what I want to talk about is those networks and how the fields are mined. The abstention of the organization from anything but the acquisition of wealth and money. And if I say wealth, I wouldn't call them wealthy by my definition of wealthy today, but they sure do have a lot of money and assets and equity and lawyers. And they're not, they're a sue happy organization. I'm surprised I haven't been threatened with a lawsuit yet, honestly. But I was honorably discharged, so they couldn't come after me for an FLD. They went after my brother. He paid it because he blew, and they would have pursued him continuously for that money. But he sure as hell didn't have to pay it. That's the other thing. He didn't have to pay it. Not at all. He could have just walked away from it. He'd have been harassed, and he was. But anywho, I'm not going to talk about my brother. Talking about the networks, and this all relates to, and this will be in the title, Uh, why hasn't Netflix canceled the Danny Masterson uh, series? Kevin Spacey, in my opinion, and in many others, I'm sure, is a much more high-profile actor, uh, and they canceled his series completely, House of Cards. Maybe it was because they were running out of ideas and the writers were running out of like places to go, or who knows? Maybe there's other reasons besides the fact that he got accused of abuse, sexual abuse and assault, uh, and possibly rape. So, but Danny Masterson has got, last I heard, 4 now accusers. And I do say accusers because you can accuse any man of rape, and people will, like, they have to state, almost every state in the United States will put forth some kind of effort if there's been rape or child molestation, or this, like, the state has to get involved. I know it is here in the state of Louisiana. It's a good thing, but it's an unfortunate thing for people who are falsely accused. And so whenever, just I want you to understand so that you can form your own viewpoint of like how the Scientology networks work, and how I was seeing them working at the time, and I can only imagine that it has gotten worse. It's either worse or the same over time, because they always come back to policy, and policy is so fucking fundamentally flawed that it's designed. I say fundamentally flawed, but it's designed for a specific purpose, and it's to motivate people and to get people to motivate themselves to blindly follow a cause and try to get everything around them in just encapsulated into this, and give up all of their belongings and give it to the church, and sign a billion-year contract, and sell people spiritual freedom. I mean, that's what it's designed to do. But they're conning you from the top, and Hubbard was doing it from the beginning. It's mass hypnosis. Matt hypnosis. Now the tape's landing backwards. It's mass hypnosis. And the way I see it now, based on like my own experiences and like knowing how things come back to policy and then they change, and then people get fired, or people blow, and then or people get sent to ethics for months and months at a time, and sometimes they come back and sometimes they don't. It's a machine, it's a cycle, and I mean, I can't really say why. I can't give a scenario as to how Netflix could be reacting or responding right now, because they may be, in fact, being harassed. Some of the executives, some of the people that are the cogs and wheels in the machine of Netflix may be having to deal with legal issues right now. I mean, it's not a far stretch to say that if Kevin Spacey was doing this to people in the past, and he was one of the first megastars to get picked up by Netflix on an original series. And there may be investigations on that set for, who who knows how long. Like they may have already started and are continuing to do so, and that's why they shut the production down, because they wanted to investigate it. The whole crew, everybody, all of the people around them, their friends, their family, you know, really, I don't know. And as far as Masterson goes, the LAPD is not, from what I understand, it's, they're kind of ho-humming it right now, gathering evidence, but they did say they had some substantial evidence. So what are they waiting for? I know that Scientology has donated to the LAPD every Christmas special, and lots of stars from that '70s show, like 3 or 4 of them. Sometimes, I think one time they got the whole cast there, but they probably tried to get all the whole cast to become Scientologists. I mean, probably not. That's probably true. But and I don't know if the other girl from that '70s show is still a Scientologist anymore, Jillian something, but every year they would put on a show, and man, it was packed, because it was that '70s show guys, you know, and Danny Masterson and his brother, and Giovanna Ribisi would be, you know, it'd be a big Christmas play, and it had all these famous actors in it. Travolta's wife, you know, like, I mean, just tons and tons of all of the Scientology best and right, Kirstie Alley, you know, put on a play for Christmas, and the money they raised, they would donate some of it to the LAPD. So the LAPD actually did security at these events, or helped with security at these events. I'm sure that the church tries to micromanage them just as much as they would someone within their own organization. But I mean, it seemed to me like the LAPD was fine with that, you know. It was probably a substantial sum of money. Probably still is. Because the truth is that there is tremendous abuse going on in that organization, and they know it. And the FBI has, you know, raided their headquarters once before, and that was back in the '70s. But I'm trying to remember if there was another raid, but I don't think they did the raid, because if they raided the place, they're right. No one's going to say that they're involuntarily. I mean, I don't think. Maybe they would now. Maybe it's worth a shot now. But I think I don't think that's really where it's at. I think that going clear made it abundantly clear to me, because as an organization, if you're truly in the organization and you have indoctrinated yourself and you have reprogrammed your mind and are actively hypnotizing yourself, because that's how the hypnosis continues. Like, you can't just be continually hypnotized by someone else. Like, you'll eventually have to snap out of it. But when you start hypnotizing yourself, then you are officially a quacked ass Scientologist. I mean, you're dyed in the wool, man. And those types of Scientologists go forth and conquer in the name of clearing the planet. And that's the level of enthusiasm you have and they have about it. But you also understand, or it's very advisable and pretty fundamental to understand if you want to be a real successful crook as a Scientologist, is to think about how the outside world perceives you, because and then the church is telling you that we're a threat. Everyone sees Scientology as a threat because it's a new religion. No, the threat is perceived because it is a threat to people's sanity, their relationships with their family, and that is the main focus of Leah Remini's series, I think, is disconnection, And I think that's a great point to stomp on, because it's the most relatable thing, because like I was talking about with the fundamental attribution errors, where, oh, you're stupid, you joined a cult, good for you. Oh, your family's completely torn apart. Well, yeah, that's what happens when you join a cult, dumbass. But when you actually can see, people talk about, like, normal, everyday people, not crazy, like just a grandmother whose son got into Scientology or something. People can relate to her, and not being able to see her grandkids. It's something that people can latch onto. But a raid or a investigation into the matters of the church and how they use influence over their members, celebrity status, bribery, money, harassment, stalking, all of the things that are in the fair game practice that they swear that they do not do. Well, there's evidence that they do. I have not been harassed, stalked, or anything like that. I have not been contacted by anyone to be recovered since I have started posting these videos. I have gone into a church, the one in Baton Rouge, the Ideal Org that they built, which was, there was only one person there. And I was going to see Dominic. And talk to him, see how he's doing. He's the ED over there. Now, I wasn't going to video it. I was just going to go talk to him because I consider him a friend. I wish he could get out of that shit, man. But he wasn't there. It was some Dominican guy who was recruited at a teen, as a teen, and he was literally. I mean, they have an apartment complex built into the place to house staff, so he was living in staff housing, which is not a nice place to live, and then he was the only one there. So that was on a Saturday. No, a Friday night, because I went to Jackson on Friday. Yeah, so I'm going to wrap up with my opinion about why Danny Masterson and the ranch is still on the air. And I've kind of alluded to it, but I haven't really stated my opinion yet. Danny Masterson and his group of friends at back in that time frame, which is a lot of the people that are probably coming forward and having to be investigated, and even the girls themselves, because there was a time when they were all hanging out. So, hanging out. Oh, wow, too soon. Down the street. Oh, letting Danny touch me. I don't know. Good Lord. My mind goes places. Those people and those kids, Danny Masterson, that's second generation Scientologist, very wealthy, very influential. I'm sure Tom is all involved, and Dave too, and the DSA at CC Int, and the Continental Liaison Office, because CLO is going to be all over their ass. Where's my money? Where's my money? it's insane. It's Netflix probably don't want. Wow, the country really came out of me there. Netflix probably doesn't want to test the waters right now with Scientology lawyers, because believe me, they have the world's wickedest lawyer you could imagine, like the type of lawyer that you imagine when you imagine like the lawyer from that movie with Keanu Reeves, that kind of law firm. That's the kind of law firm that Scientology deploys, like multiples of those. So just sold their soul. Just, oh yeah, this is what you need to prove. This is what we need to do. Okay. That'll be $8 million. Make it all go away. Make it all go away. Make it all go away. And then you have the correlation, all right? I have a correlation with Corey Feldman and his story. Not only is Hollywood so corrupt, not only is the church so corrupt, I'm sorry, not only is the church so corrupt, but the industry in Hollywood is also very seedy. When and not just in the acting, but in the music too. I was recording a record with a well-known set of producers, and when we were in the studio, like one of the guys just constantly played porn. And it was like homemade porn and stuff. And I don't know if these girls, they were young girls, but I don't know how young they were. So it's possible, man. And they had the 18, given, like, in order to shoot porn, the way they were shooting it, you'd have to have, like, probably permits and stuff, but and after some issues with Hustler magazine, using underage models and stuff, getting caught doing that, with Tracy, and shooting pornography with Tracy Lords and all that, they really cracked down on the 18 18 and up porn. But yeah, it's a really dark place, man. Really dark place. Like, I'm trying to record music, and one of the producers is in there. One of them's on the board, and one of them's just sitting there, like, gawking at porn, and driving a Ferrari to the studio every day. It's a sick world. People suck. That's something that the drummer and I kind of joke about. But it is. There's some really bad things happening. And so I just don't think Netflix is quite ready to step in the ring with Scientology litigious practices at this juncture with everything going on with Kevin Spacey. I think they're just going to let that fire either burn or go out. And Scientology won't mess with them as long as they keep the series going. I promise you that. Scientology will take care of the LAPD and take care of all this crap with Danny, one way or the other. That's the way they're looking at it. You know, that's the way they're looking at it. We'll handle Danny. You got to keep him in the spotlight, keep him making money, keep him CLOs up our ass. We got to make money. So, and a lot of the general public don't even understand. I say general public of even Scientologists, even general public Scientologists don't understand that that's really how it works. It's all about the money, you know. CLO is up your ass. The IAS is up your ass. Make that money. And everyone around you is living in poverty. Living in dumps. You're getting people to sell their houses and downsize, and they got 3-4 kids. And then you try to get them to give their kids to the Sea Org. Go in the cadet program, the cadet org. Be proud of them. Yeah. Something to really be proud of. It's a sick, sick organization. And I know that sometimes in my videos I'm you know, a little more bubbly than I am at this moment, but the fact of the matter is that there's some really disturbing links that I find between Scientology not being Scientology's tax exempt status not being revoked, and government programs like that aim to control population and stuff. So I'll leave you with that. Netflix just doesn't want to mess with Scientology right now. And Scientology wants the show to go on. The show must go on. Thanks for watching. Squeaky chair.